Welcome back to another episode of Ty's Cincinnati Real Estate Reviews. And today we're doing a very special episode. This is all about homeowners and all about helping you get top dollar and best possible terms for selling your home here in the greater Cincinnati market. So I'm going to go through these top 10 tips with you in just a second. But just in case you stumbled upon this video and you're thinking, hey, I don't need top 10 tips. I just want to get my house sold quick for cash and I'm not going to do anything to it. We do have videos about that as well, and you can always just text me at that number below and we can have a cash investor give you a cash offer in as little as 24 hours. But for the rest of you, if you're looking to get these top 10 tips that I share with homeowners every day, let's go. Welcome back. So before we do that, I just want to remind you, I've been a real estate agent here since 2004, sold about 1,600 homes so far, and I've worked with greater Cincinnati home sellers in price ranges all the way from $20,000 all the way up to a couple million. So if you're in that price range and you're looking to get the most out of your home sale, give me a call and we'll go from there. So let's get started with tip number one, that is enhancing your curb appeal. Now, first impressions matter. From the moment a potential buyer drives by your house or sees it online, you should definitely want to enhance your curb appeal. So let's start with landscaping. Landscaping is so important. I'm going to give you some tips just around the landscaping. So number one, you want to trim your trees back so you can see the house, and you also want to take all the branches away from the outside of the house. Second, you want to trim your bushes or remove the overgrown shrubs. This will make your home look newer. And sometimes you have bushes and shrubs that are like 20 years old and they start really overgrowing around the house. It will definitely make it look older. Next thing you want to do is plant some fresh annuals or colorful bushes. That will help add a splash of color here and there around your property. And finally, you want to edge all your landscaping areas and add some dark mulch. This gives you a nice contrast. And if you take that shovel or have a landscaper do it, make those nice fine edges around the property. It's one of those first impression things that people really love, and it makes it look like your home has been professionally taken care of. The second part of curb appeal would be your home's exterior. So I'm going to give you several tips around that. So what I usually do is I walk around the home with a homeowner and I will point these things out, but I'm going to go ahead and give you my list to start checking on before I see you at your house. So you want to look at the front door. Is it painted? Is it faded? You definitely want to get that painted and cleaned up. If there's caulking and door trim around the front door, you also want to make sure that that has been taken care of. It's not cracking, falling apart. You want to make sure it's painted the same as the rest of the trim color around the house. And then I would just walk around the rest of your home, look at all the windows and the around all the trim around your doors, around the rest of the windows of the home, and make sure that all the caulking is nice and secure there as well. You want to make sure that the gutters have been cleaned out. There's not like dark spots all around them. You want to make sure that the downspouts are connected. You want to make sure that you've removed any cobwebs around the entire exterior. I always recommend pressure washing or soft washing all the concrete surfaces to make sure that those are cleaned up and looking fresh and clean. You definitely don't want to see a lot of moss or mildew or kind of the green colored concrete is not a good thing. I also recommend for homeowners to put out a fresh brand new welcome mat, something that's not your local favorite sports team or old worn out welcome mat, just something that's bright and fresh and clean, and it helps add to that first step that somebody literally takes on your front porch. I would also clean all your exterior windows. Literally either hire a home service that does that or get out there and just clean off all that dirt and grime and everything else that's on those windows. And then finally, I'd put out either a new mailbox or make sure that your current mailbox is clean and fresh and not discolored or rusted. And then if you have numbers on the front of your door that someone's looking for when they're looking for your address, I would make sure that those, it just costs a couple dollars, and go ahead and clean those up too. Tip number two, declutter and depersonalize. So when you buy a home as a homeowner, purchasing your next property, you're not thinking of square footage as much or number of bedrooms and bathrooms. You really want to emotionally connect to a property. So as a seller, you want to create that environment where it's easy for someone to envision themselves in the home that you are selling. It's no longer your house. go ahead and get over it. It's time to make it someone else's house. So the quicker we can make that happen, the more profitable it'll be for you. So here are my tips on decluttering and depersonalizing your home. First, I would clear out all the clutter, pack away any personal items, and create a clean and neutral canvas that allows the buyers to see the potential of each space. Second, I would remove all your personal photos. This would include ones on shelves or on the walls. I would also clear out countertops. That would be any kind of personal items, mail, all your normal junk that accumulates on your kitchen counters. I would get all that removed. Next, I would organize the basement and garage and closets. So if someone sees that they're organized when they open up a closet or look in the basement or garage, they'll think, oh, this is how I'm gonna live when I buy this place. Next, I would remove any extra furniture or mismatched furniture. You really don't want 3 color different sofas or couches in one room. And we'll get into this in the staging part here in just a minute. But if you can remove extra stuff, this is the time to do it. Next, I would remove all magnets and extras from the kitchen refrigerator. This sounds like a silly little thing, but a clear and clean refrigerator is always a sign of a well-kept home. As a buyer's looking at it, it just appeals both in the photos and in person. Last, I would thoroughly clean all the inside windows, baseboards, carpets, hardwood floors, and bathrooms. And when I say thoroughly clean, I mean remove all the dust from the top of the baseboards and the nitty-gritty parts of the bathroom and the kitchen. Just thoroughly scrub out all of that, including the kitchen appliances as well. If you don't need something, just pack it up, donate it, or move it into one of those pod storage. I actually like the pod storage system. You can have one of the storage units put into your driveway, you pack it full of all the stuff you don't need, and then they'll take it back to their facility for you and leave it there until you need it for your next house. Tip number 3, repairs and maintenance. So what you want to do is you don't want the buyer to think, oh, I need to take on all these projects before I buy this house or after I buy it. The more of these little nickel and dime repairs, things that you can get done. So first of all, it helps a buyer instantly think more on the emotional side that they really love the house. But secondly, it removes that obstacle of price and how much is this going to cost and do I have the expertise to fix it? So if you have the capacity to do a bunch of minor repairs and get those off the plate for a potential buyer, I would go ahead and do that. So I'm going to give you the areas that I really concentrate on. One is I always check the heating and air conditioning system. You want to make sure that it's been repaired or replaced if it needs replaced, or even recently serviced and with one of those stickers on it. That'll help a buyer feel like, hey, this is a major expense I don't have to worry about. Number 2, I would make sure all the electrical system is up to date and it's easy to access. So if your electrical panel is hidden behind some furniture, go ahead and expose that and make it easy for someone to open up that electric panel and see that all your breakers are up to date and it's a good working system. Number 3, the plumbing system. I would make sure that there's no leaks and that all the fixtures are functional and cosmetically appealing. Roof, number 4, I would make sure that that you don't have any leaks or that the roof itself is in good condition. If you've had a previous leak, make sure that you've repaired it and you've documented that in your disclosure form. Number 5, sump pump. Make sure if your property has a sump pump in a basement or a crawl space that it's functional and that you can prove that it works. Number 6, if you have any cracks in the foundation, some of them, if they're usually bigger than like a credit card that can fit in them, they may need to be epoxy sealed or checked by a structural engineer. So I would have those things done before you put the property on the market so people aren't wondering, hey, what's the problem with this huge crack in the basement or foundation? Next one, number 7, is the radon system. In the Cincinnati, Ohio area, there's a lot of homes that have high radon count, which is like a toxic gas. If your property usually has over 4 parts per million, you've been probably advised to get a radon system. You need to make sure that the fan is working and that system is operational. Number 8, water heater. You want to make sure that the expansion tank is functional, that the water heater is working, it's not rusted, it's not leaking. Those are all things that a home buyer will look at when they see your house. Number 9, appliances. I would make sure that all your appliances are functional. I would make sure they're matching in a kitchen. And I would make sure that if you have any warranties, if you've recently purchased them, that you have those available. Number 10, smelling. You don't know how many homes I've been in where the home just doesn't smell good. So I would make sure that if there's any odor that has been created by you and your family, your dogs, smoking, strong spicy cooking, anything in mold and mildew smells, make sure you correct the source of what is causing the smell to begin with But secondly, I would also make sure you've removed the smell. Sometimes steam cleaning carpets, removing drapery panels. Sometimes it comes down to removing an animal that you might love in your home, but maybe during the selling period you want to kennel that animal or leave them with a family friend. You don't want the source of the odor to stay in the home because it does turn off a lot of buyers. Trust me, I've shown tens of thousands of homes in my career, and a lot of times when buyers walk in the door, if they smell something that's offensive, they just walk right back out. So no matter how great the house is. Let's get on to tip number 4, staging. Staging is really important. This is what happens when you're setting the stage for the buyer to see how they could live in the house. Staging is also helps a buyer to realize the maximum potential of what the space could be. So here are my top 10 tips around staging. So number 1, I would make sure you've hired a professional stager to do your staging. So as a real estate agent, we can give you some tips and tricks, and here's what I would do. But really it's worth at least a few $100 consult to have a home stager come out and give you a professional consultation. Whether you end up hiring them to do furniture and do other stuff, that's up to you. But I would at least hire a stager at the beginning to ascertain what you really need to do to get the house ready for the market. Number 2, furniture. So if you are going to use a home stager, they may end up incorporating your pieces of furniture. If you've got nice stuff, they might say, hey, get rid of all your furniture and we're going to bring in our own. Or they might do a hybrid where they mix and match. So I would definitely hire the home stager and consult with them first before you start moving around furniture or buying new furniture. Number 3, is the house vacant, furnished, or a hybrid? So the old school of thought is that a vacant home would sell the best because people could vision themselves in it. The problem is that most buyers like to see some furniture in the home because it helps them realize how big the spaces are. So I would say a vacant home does not sell as well as a properly staged home. Number 4, should you rent furniture or not? So basically a lot of home stagers are going to recommend bringing in their own furniture. Instead of buying it, you could just rent it from them. It's a lot cheaper in the long run. They move it in and move it out. Usually there's a fee between $1,500 to $5,000 depending on the size of the home, number of rooms, but that's definitely something you want to look into. 5, staging does make you more money. So there are tons of statistics out there. You can look this up, but if you do professionally stage your home, it tends to sell faster and for more money. So just look up that stat. Number 6, paint colors. So a lot of people say, hey, I'm going to paint my house and get it ready for sale, then I'll call you. I'm always like, no, call me first, let's meet, because your paint colors might be fine, or you might paint it the wrong color. So we always have a home stager give us, if you're going to do like a major repaint of a bunch of rooms, first of all, I'd make sure as many rooms as possible match the same color. You don't want it to look like a Crayola box with a bunch of different paint colors in the house, but also having that tone. It might be a gray or a beige or white, but the home stager will tell you how to work with the existing flooring that you have and or furniture. Number 7, having a home stager help you choose your paint colors. So I want to specifically go into more detail about this. So I've had people say, hey, I looked it up online and this is the most popular paint color. So make sure that you really pay attention to this step. I'm kind of doubling up on it, but I've seen people spend a lot of money painting their whole house and it's just one shade off of what it should have been. So make sure you get the exact paint code you should from the home stager, and a lot of them have a referral to a good painter as well. Number 8, flooring choices. I'll never forget, I had this client who said, hey, I just put all new carpet in my house, I'm ready to list my house. And I went out there and they had put in green shag carpet, no joke. And I was like, and I didn't know that they, had just put in the carpet. So I said, hey, one of the things you need to do is change out this carpet. And they said, well, we just put this in. So my reminder to you is before you go making any major changes on your house, especially design changes, I would definitely consult a professional first. Number 9, match all your appliances. I go into a lot of homes and there's a white refrigerator and a black stainless steel stove and maybe another color microwave. So if at all possible, if you can afford it, try to match up all your appliances, same color. Number 10, and this is the most important tip, is match the room design and function. So for example, I go into a lot of homes and there's young families and they have little kids and they have a playroom set up in the dining room. I always tell them, hey, if possible, let's return this to the original function it's supposed to be, which is a dining room. So putting in a dining room table and chairs. The reason is, number one, on pictures it gets really confusing. What room is that? And secondly, when someone does tour the house, it's better for them to see the home as it's intended, and then they will create more value in their perception of the home as well. Tip number 5, highlighting key features of your home. So you want to identify and highlight all the unique selling points of your home, such as updated kitchen, spacious backyard, stunning views. So I'm going to give you some tips around that as well. So number 1, you want to make sure that you share with your real estate agent, hopefully me, all the things that you've done over the years to make the house different and appealing and attractive, and why you were originally attracted to the house in the first place, and have the real estate agent make that list. Number 2, you want to prepare a spreadsheet or a list of all the improvements you've done, what the year you did them, and maybe if there was a warranty involved or not. So that helps us to present your home to the buyer with as much documentation as possible. Number 3, have any warranties or paid receipts in a folder. So if you are doing contract work on the home and you had a new roof put in, or new basement water system or radon system, if you can keep those receipts, keep them in a folder, and make those available to the buyer, that really helps us a lot for later. Number 4, homeowners association. So if you have an HOA, maybe it's a community pool, play area, golf course, something like that, make sure all that information is available to me when I get there, so that we can look through that and make sure that all gets presented in the listing properly. Number 5, keeping good documentation. So as a real estate agent, when we come to the meeting, if all this stuff is presented to us in an organized way, it makes us not have to ask you 15 different times, well, now I need the HOA, now I need this, now I need that. So as much of that as we can get in that first meeting, the better, and that helps us be more prepared for a buyer as well. Tip number 6, professional photography and videography. A good real estate agent will invest upfront in some high quality marketing. I always say magazine quality photos, because really what you want is you want to tell a picture, and if the photos are not good, then honestly the house is not going to look as good online, and that's where 99% of people are going to start. In the old days, the real estate agents would pick 5 or 10 homes, buyer would show up into town for a relocation or whatever, and we just show them all these houses. Now people are seeing these homes and online possibly even multiple times before they ever actually go out in person and look at them. Here are some tips on how to maximize your photography and videography. First, I would make sure that your MLS photos are listed within the first hour of your listing going live. There are a lot of agents that have done this for years, is they'll post photos coming soon, but the problem is a lot of people aren't going to go back and look at the listing again. Once it hits the market, they see no photos. It really doesn't appeal to them, so they might go back, they might not. So my advice is, and we always do this, is make sure that those photos are uploaded as soon as possible, as soon as the listing goes live. Second, if your property is good for an overhead view, for example, if you've got like a long backyard, a lake nearby, something, mountain views, whatever, a river, you want to make sure that the drone photographer gets a strategic angle of the home and possibly the whole area to show what it's surrounded by. If your home is completely surrounded by not so great things, or a big water tower or something like that, you may not want to use a drone photographer to do that. So as a real estate agent, we like to consult with you up front and see if it's a good option or not based upon your individual yard. Floor plans. This is another way for us to market photography. So in some of our marketing packages, we include a floor plan. So a buyer will know exactly where the bedrooms and bathrooms and everything are on the first, second, third floor, whatever. This is definitely helpful, and it's become more and more popular over the years. Another one is camera angles. So not only do we have a professional photographer take pictures of the home, we make sure they're done at strategic angles to make sure that the home is shot, at 3/4 angle at a certain degree. Like, you don't really realize until it's too late if your photographer got the wrong camera angle. Another thing is we don't want pets in the photos. So I have seen a lot of real estate agents who either take their own photos or they hire a professional, but they didn't check that the cat's on the bed or whatever. So make sure there are no pets in the photos. Another little tip is I like to make sure in the bathrooms that all the toilet seats are down and there's fresh white towels on all the towel holders. Another tip for photography and videography is virtual tours. So we include this on most all of our marketing packages when we go to list a house, but having a virtual tour is a little bit better than just clicking through photos. Sometimes this includes a 3D click-through tour, like a Matterport design. Sometimes this might mean a video, like just a walkthrough video. Some of it is just photos stitched together. It really depends on your house and what kind of marketing it needs. Last but not least, on the video side, we do a vertical tour. So this is actually a vertical video that we can upload to Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, but it is a trendy 60-second video that highlights all the best features of your house really quickly, and this seems to appeal to a lot of the younger buyers that are out there right now. Tip number 7, strategic pricing. So pricing a property is so important. If you price the property too high, people may not perceive the value and you may not get a lot of showings, and the house sits and sits. Then you might have to do multiple price reductions, and then people wonder what's wrong with the house. If you price it way too low, people may not get the hint of exactly what you're looking for in the price, and especially if the market is not too hot. Now, today as we're speaking, most homes are going into multiple offers, so it's really hard to underprice a property, but it still does happen. The right thing to do is to get the property priced almost exactly at what you think it's worth, and then we let buyers decide if they're going to bid it up or not. And so in this case, this is why you need to hire a great agent that looks at the last 6 months of market data, and usually within a quarter-mile radius, same school district, and that's the beginning of how we price the homes. I usually sit down with a homeowner and we go through on my laptop. I show them all the comps of the last few homes that have sold in the last 6 months in their neighborhood with similar bedrooms and bathrooms, and we can compare each home side by side, and we together come up with a great marketing price. I don't dictate the marketing price to a seller. Ultimately, that's your decision, but I do kind of help guide basically through with the comparable market home sales that are out there. Tip number 8, effective marketing. So you really want to reach a buyer where they already are looking. So are they on one of the major websites like Realtor.com, Homes.com, Zillow? Are they looking at a local MLS portal? Are they looking on a competitor's website? So I might be with one real estate company and they might be looking at another company's website. So the big key here is that we want to broadcast the listing everywhere. So that's what we do. So when we list your property, and if you're hiring a real estate agent out there, make sure they're broadcasting it across all possible marketing channels and websites. That is the best way to get the most amount of exposure. And that includes Facebook and Instagram, as we talked about with the Reels, and even YouTube Shorts. So in our marketing opinion, getting it to all those websites is really the best thing to do to get you maximum price. Tip number 9 is having the home ready for open houses and showings. So there's a lot of debate in the realtor community whether open houses are a good idea or not. Personally, I think sometimes they are and sometimes they may not be, until we come out and meet with you in person and kind of talk through your exact needs of what you're looking to do with your home. It may be a good idea to do an open house to boost the exposure, or it might not be something that you want to do. Either way, that's something that you can negotiate with your agent and say, yes, we do want them, or no, we don't, and here's why, and then have a little debate about it and see if it's worthwhile. The agents that are dead set against open houses, I would caution a little bit, because usually they just don't want to go on a Sunday or Saturday and sit there because they think it's a waste of their time. But I can tell you from personal experience, I've had many homes sold where a buyer walked in not thinking they were even going to like the house, and because I had the house open, they decided to like it, and maybe they brought their other real estate agent back another time and showed it again, but at least they found like that was a house that they really wanted to buy because they saw it at the open house. Tip number 10, and yes, we're at number 10, is list the home with a great professional real estate agent. So I'm going to give you 10 things why I would personally consider listing your home with a real estate agent. So number 1 is price. Determining the right price is huge. I see a lot of for sale by owners miss the mark because they found some automated appraisal service that told them how much the house was worth. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they tried to save maybe 3% commission or whatever, and they ended up costing themselves thousands of dollars. Because really, competition, when you have multiple people in the room bidding against each other, that really drives the price up. Number 2 is timing. So a real estate agent that knows what they're doing is going to help go through timing with you. Do you want the house listed now, later? Do you want to have it where it's open for offers for an extended amount of time? Do you want it on the market for 30 days, 3 days, 5 days? But the timing itself is so important, and having a professional guide you through realistic expectations, I think, is huge, and it will also save you time in the long run that you don't have to do all that paperwork yourself. Number 3 is occupancy. A real estate agent, a good one, is going to help you understand that there are many, many options when it comes to occupancy, and we have, we can sit down and talk for hours just about this one topic. But basically, do you want to live in the house after closing, and do you want to rent it back? Do you want someone to give you free rent? Do you need just a certain amount of time to be in there? Are you already out of the house? Occupancy is huge, and that's something that we can definitely help with. Number 4 is inspection. Some people choose to get their homes pre-inspected. Some do it after the fact, but dealing with home inspection issues is a huge one. So just because you got an offer for your full asking price or over, maybe that wasn't even the best offer because there was another offer that came in a few thousand less that was waiving inspections. So having a great real estate agent guide you through all those different options and scenarios, best case, worst case scenario, that is huge, and been through it many, many, many times. I can tell you that there's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. Really, it comes down to you and your individual needs and the house itself and what it may or may not be bringing up during a home inspection. Number 5 is appraisal. There are some homes that get this great price when it comes down to getting multiple offers, but then it doesn't appraise. So what kind of strategies are you baking into the actual offer with your real estate agent to ensure that you're getting the maximum amount of money? We have several different appraisal gap strategies that we can go over with you in person. So if you're thinking, hey, what happens if I got this great price on a contract, but then when the buyer did their bank appraisal, it didn't appraise? Those are real world concerns, and I'm happy to help step you through all those different scenarios. Number 6 is warranties. It's been traditional in Cincinnati for a long time that people would offer a home warranty with their home. Some buyers would want to choose their own, and now with multiple offers, some sellers are just not including the warranties. I can go through all those different options with you and help you decide what's best for you. 7, closing costs. So closing costs, again, this is something that's negotiable. So buyers may want a seller to pay for their closing costs and how much is fair and how much should go into a deal, and if it's FHA versus VA versus a conventional loan. Having a great real estate agent guide you when you get your purchase contract to know how much they're asking for, if anything, and how that's going to affect the overall deal is huge, and we're happy to help navigate that with you. Number 8, commissions. So all commissions are negotiable in the United States with the Board of Realtors in each city and county. There is no set commission, so this is all something that's negotiable. I can tell you over the years that it's a sliding scale, and so there are some scenarios where a lower commission percentage may be appropriate depending on the price of the house, and maybe there's no marketing needed or something else, or it's just a deal between neighbors and they need a real estate agent to come in and help out. There are other deals where it's going to take longer and more extensive marketing costs and more time and more negotiation, so you might see higher on that. But these are all negotiable, and this is something that you can bring up with your real estate agent before you sign on the dotted line and go from there. Number 9, title insurance. In our Cincinnati Board of Realtors contracts and the Southern Ohio Association of Realtors contracts with our area here, the closing costs are separated from the title insurance. So if you want a good advice about title insurance, should you offer it? As a buyer, should you get it? That's something that we can help you get some advice on as well. Number 10, title fees. So when you go to close on your property, you are going to need to pay for title services. So how much do you pay and who pays what? Those are all things that we can help you understand as well. Number 11, county fees. So the county charges a conveyance fee, which is a tax for selling and transferring your property. This is something that we can help you estimate as your closing costs out the door, but it's not a traditional buyer or seller closing cost per se when you're negotiating things out. So this is just kind of a number that's attached to the closing settlement at the end of the day. Thank you for taking your time to listen to our top 10 tips on selling your home here in the greater Cincinnati area. So these are just kind of the tip of the iceberg on what we can do when I'm there in person helping you achieve your goal of selling your property. But remember, it's not just about selling your home, it's about finding the right buyer who will then also turn it into their dream home as well. I help specialize in helping buyers go from making a logical decision to an emotional one. And this is where you as a seller are going to see the highest price and terms available. Since 2004, I've helped about 1,600 homeowners buy and sell properties here in the greater Cincinnati area. We've got 5-star reviews on all the major websites that you can read, and we're happy to help you at any time. There's a phone number below. You can always text or call that number, and we can set up a home consultation. If I've sent you this video in preparation for our listing appointment, I hope to see you soon. And don't stress out. A lot of this stuff we'll cover in person. You don't have to take all the notes in the world. Happy to help you when I get there in person. And some of these things aren't going to matter because your house is going to be perfect, and other things we might need to work a little bit on. Or you might decide at the end of the day just to sell it as a investor deal and not do any of this stuff, which we're happy to help with that as well. So I just wanted to recap today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Happy to help, and we look forward to meeting with you again soon. Talk to you later.